social exchange theory. But let's call it what it really feels like. You finally realize that crumbs aren't a meal just because you're hungry for connection. For a long time, you were probably the one over-functioning. You were the person driving 2 hours to fix a flat tire for someone who wouldn't even walk down the street for you. You were the one initiating every text, carrying every conversation, and celebrating others while your own milestones were treated like invisible events. You spent years pouring your cup into cups that weren't empty, they just had a hole in the bottom. The simple math solution you arrived at is this. When things don't add up, you subtract yourself. This isn't about being transactional. It's about energy economics. You realize that people don't cut everyone off because they don't care. They do it because they care too much in systems that don't care back. You reached a breaking point where you understood that the most dangerous thing isn't isolation. It's convincing yourself that low-effort behavior is acceptable love. If you cut people off easily, it's because your self-worth has finally evicted your fear of being alone. You stopped accepting being someone's last choice and telling yourself, at least I made the list. Now, understanding the math is one thing, but that doesn't explain the immense sense of relief you feel when you finally walk away. That relief comes from the second trait, the rejection of the performance contract. Many of us grew up in environments where love was conditional. You learned early on to be useful, to be safe. You became the therapist, the fixer, the strong one. You built an entire personality around being indispensable because you thought being needed was the same thing as being loved. You became the milk cow for everyone else's emotional hunger, letting them drain you dry while they offered nothing in return. But here is the high mindset shift. You got tired. You got tired of performing a version of yourself that was digestible for others. You realized that you were already alone long before you physically left. You were alone in the room with them because they didn't know you. They knew the service you provided. They knew you were useful. When you cut people off easily, it's usually because you've decided to stop the show. You've realized that people keep you around in case they need you down the line, not for loyalty, but for utility. And the minute you stopped being useful, the minute you asked for anything that resembled help, they mocked you or they walked away. Cutting them off is simply you tearing up that contract. It's you saying, I am no longer auditioning for a role in my own life. You stopped explaining yourself to people who were never trying to understand you, but were just waiting for the opportunity to use you again. You realized that being selfish is just the ending of the cycle of self-erasure. However, there is a biological component to this that